Welcome on, welcome all to this GT3 Challenge Series track guide for Jerez. Now, those regular viewers might notice doing things slightly differently. So I've kind of split the flying lap and this more in-depth track guide up, because a lot of people, I think, were just watching the hot lap and then quitting the video, okay, and that kind of played a bit weird with the algorithms, I think. So I'm going to try it this way around, see if things improve in terms of views and all that sort of good stuff. So don't forget to like and subscribe and all that sort of stuff. But so yeah, this video is going to be the more like long form version of the track guide, I suppose. You know what I mean? I'm going to just have the flying lap. Just if people just want to see that, they can. And for more information, I'm doing this here. So we were here last season, okay. Very similar track temps actually. I was very tempted just to use the old track guide, but you know, I thought I'd try again. I think there's a few little changes with the setup, and you know, I've done a few little differences, but essentially the time's pretty much exactly the same. Okay, so we're still looking at for 142. Now, I've noticed that the brake bias is up at 53.4. Okay, and I just leave it there throughout the lap. There's a few corners later on where I feel like the rear's kind of braking a bit, braking traction on the brakes, okay, so that's why I put it forward. It doesn't really affect other corners that much, so I've just left it forward, okay. Coming into turn one, and we're using all the track, okay. For those who weren't here last season, we definitely have to straddle this curb, okay. Now, having watched some other kind of pros recently, they tend to take higher gears than what you would think, okay. So this corner, I would have thought this was a second gear corner, okay? And in practice, I was kind of doing second gear, and then I was looking at a few pro laps, and I was like, they all seem to take third through here. And even though it feels like it's bogging, actually, I think it's probably the way to go, and I was actually quicker. Obviously, if you're not as fast and the engine does bog a lot, then you will have to change down into second gear, okay? But if you can carry third, it does actually appear to be slightly better, okay? So braking point here, by the way, is just as we come onto the curb, okay? So we come onto the curb, we're braking, and we're kind of trying to hook this blue bit. I don't think, did I manage to do it this time? Yeah, so that's kind of what we're aiming for, really, okay? Hook the blue, okay? But if you touch the grass, you will get a little bit of a kind of a drift on, but it's nothing to load anyway. We can use all this, okay? As long as we keep two wheels, okay, on the blue, we're okay. And obviously use it if you can, okay? Right, now here, you can, because it's such a like tight radius corner, you don't have to like turn in from too wide, you know what I mean? It's not end of the world, and there's not like a big long straight after it. So in a race situation, you're almost certainly going to be hugging quite a tight line, because otherwise you're just going to end up with a car to your inside, okay? But I'm looking at the bridge here, okay? Don't rely on the shadow, because if it's a cloudy day, that shadow might not be there, okay? So just, it's a feeling you have as you go under the bridge, basically. So we're here, and we're braking, just down one gear into second, okay? Quite important to hook this up, okay? You do really want to hook up the green stuff here, okay? It just helps to rotate the car a little bit more, okay? And we're kind of progressive on the throttle, okay? So I'm actually on the throttle here, and we're just building it up slowly. Again, Ferrari is always quite rear limited under throttle, okay, so yeah, progressive throttle is normally better, okay. Obviously being in the higher gears can help you with getting on throttle sooner, but on the whole, progressive throttle is good, okay. Now, we definitely want to cut here, okay, we don't want to go all the way around. That said, the blue bit is a little bit slippery, okay. You've got to be on your toes, all right, and certainly if you've got other cars around and you're concentrating on them, it can be quite easy to actually have a little half spin here. So be a little bit careful, but we can definitely cut this corner, which keeps us full throttle. This corner here, you'll probably need a little lift, okay? And you know, this is like a qualifying lap, okay? Because tyres are quite cool. As the run goes on, your grip's going to decrease quite a bit, okay? In these very high temperatures, so you almost certainly can have to lift here, okay? I'm not sure if I do lift here. I lifted like a tiny fraction, okay? Now, if you can hook the wheels up, like just on this blue bit, it will help with a bit of rotation. If not, it's not end of the world, okay? I don't quite get it here, and I still just about managed to hold on. But again, we must keep 2 wheels, and this is literally as close as you can get. Okay, I was in my head, I was going to look in for the 1X, but it never came. So great. Okay. So again, same here. We open up the corner. Okay, like it will cost you time if you're running your wheels down there. Okay, and here we're looking at sort of like so again, here you can either go down 1 gear or 2 gears. Okay, now I was finding I couldn't quite do it in 4th. I just didn't quite have the rotation, and I wanted to get on the power too early to stop the bogging, and then that would just push me wide. Okay, because you get kind of oversteer on the way into this corner, but then you get understeer on the way out. Okay, so we're braking, and we're not braking hard. Okay, because we're kind of turning almost straight away, and it's quite kind of off camber and uphill, and you've got to be patient, but you don't want to be too slow. I think I maybe get on the throttle a little bit too early here. Since I'm just training in, I try and get on, but I feel the car push in, so I come straight back off. Okay, I don't think I ever quite make it to the curb, but it's a very late apex. So you see, I'm trying to get on throttle, finally get on throttle, and even at this stage where it feels like the car is fine, I'm having to keep quite a lot of lock on just to get around the corner because I'm picking up understeer. We can see the traction control around here starts to kick in as the rear just starts to come around, and now my steering I've had to correct. So lost a little bit of time there just from that slide, but you know, managed to keep the foot in. And again, you can pick up a 1X here, but chances are if you are that wide, you're going to hit the gravel. Okay, it's very common for people to run wide here. Okay, in a race, you'll often get people just running wide, kind of bouncing along the gravel and then coming back in. Okay, so that's something to look out for. Right, so this is one of the tighter corners. Okay, and you can make a lot of time up here. Okay, so again, we're opening up the corner and we're looking at the 100 line, but we're braking slightly before it. Okay, so just ever so slightly before it. We're down into second gear. Now it's really important here that we hook up the apex and we get the car turned. Okay, we don't want to go in too deep. Okay, definitely not going to work, and we don't even want to get on the throttle too early here and push us too far wide. Okay, because you will pick up some understeer, so we've got to be really patient. Okay, hook up the green stuff again. Do I hook it up? No, not quite. Okay, but if you can hook the green, that will help you definitely. So this green area there, that will help. But this is, this is okay. All right. So again, progressive on the throttle. Okay, progressive there. Okay, and we don't need to run the car all the way out, kind of wide. If you do that, then you'll probably cost yourself too much time because you're doing too much distance. Okay, and we're through. Right. Now this is again one of those corners where in qualifying you might better, in fact you probably will get away with it flat fairly comfortably. Okay, but maybe if the line's slightly wrong in a race, you're following another car, you probably need a little lift through here. Okay, I don't lift. Okay, you can hook a little bit of this curb as well, but again you might just pick up a little bit of a rear end instability. Okay, again we open up the corner by just keeping 2 wheels. Now, there isn't really a marker point here. This is one of those corners where it's basically all just done on feel. Okay. Again, this is a corner where naturally you might want to go down into the 3rd, but actually 4th is definitely better here because this is one of those corners where the rear is really unstable. Okay. So we're just hooking it up. Again, we can take some blue if we want. Okay, but it will help with rotation, but you might end up with too much rotation. Okay. So something to think about, but you tend to pick up understeer through here. Okay, so I've got on the throttle pretty early. Okay, but I'm just drifting out and I've had to lift out. Okay, because I don't want to get an off track. Okay, obviously in a race maybe you wouldn't care, but I'm definitely understeering here. Lift off and just about keep it in. Okay, and it's important to get over really quick. Okay, to open up the next corner. Okay, and this is one of the hardest corners on the track. Okay, in practice you're probably going to lose the rear quite a lot. This is definitely one of those corners why the brake bias is further forward. Okay, if you're still struggling and you're spinning into it, knock it forward a few more clicks. Okay, so we're we're kind of getting over. Sorry about that. Right, so we're getting over, and again, it's just a feel thing, really. But it's almost like as soon as you get over onto the curb, see, I'm still not really fully over, and I'm braking. Okay, and this is definitely a corner where we want to be braking nice and early. Okay, keeping the car nice and stable, and making sure we get kind of on the throttle fairly early, rather than just braking really late into it. Okay, so we're braking, trading it in, and we make sure we hit this apex. Okay, really important, and then we're on progressively, because again the car will try and push out. Okay, so we're back on it. Okay, and we can use pretty much all this. I think again this is a case of 2 wheels, okay, on the curb, which is fine. Another pretty tricky corner coming up, okay, because the car's a little bit unstable at this point. Trying to kind of get it set up nicely for this next right-hander can be slightly interesting, and you can very easy to actually push wide this next corner. So we've got to make sure we're not carrying too much speed. Okay, I just lift off and just coast it in. Okay, you might need a little bit of brake to coast it in, to just pull the nose in. Okay, this curb isn't actually very aggressive. You can hit this curb pretty well. I don't think I quite catch it here, but I did have kind of caught this curb a few times, and it was kind of fine. So it's not that raised. Okay, and again, we're just trying to hold on. This is more than fine. A few times I actually ran wide and off track there. Okay, so that's something to keep an eye on. Okay, this is one of the hardest corners on here, certainly in terms of the corner complex. Anyway, again, not a lot of good braking zones, braking markers. Sorry, I can't get my words out today. But what we do is this window pillar here. Okay, when that kind of touches the apex of the corner, that's when I brake. Okay, so we're there, and as it touches the apex, that's my braking zone. Okay, it works for me. Obviously, your field of view might be so different. You might have a different monitor setup, for example, and that might not work. Okay, that's what I use to pick it out. You might be able to pick out something else. Okay, but if we can pick out stuff, it obviously helps. Okay, so we're on the brakes, down into second gear, and we can definitely take quite a lot of this curb. Okay, and we've got to take it. Okay, so we're trading in. Okay, I don't get on the throttle before the corner here, but if you can get on just a tiny fraction just to lift the nose, then that's always good. Okay, but look, we are taking a lot. Okay, even grass as well. Okay, again, 2 wheels on the blue and white. Okay, really important here as well not to go in too deep, because we need to open up the next corner. Okay, so I'm back on the throttle. Okay, and this is like a stab a throttle on and then come off for the left-hander and then back on again. Okay, and we can't really compromise ourselves too much on this corner. Okay, we've got to make sure we open up the next one as well. Okay, so in this complex, if you overshoot one corner, that's going to destroy everything basically. Okay, so we're back on the throttle just a fraction. Okay, and then we're feeling the car, feeling how the rear is moving. Okay, so we can get back on throttle. Now here, in theory, we can go flat all the way round. In practice, you might have to lift a bit. Try not to hit this curb. This curb is a bad one to hit. Okay, it will proper send the car not round, but you know, into a fairly decent drift, which is just going to cost you a lot of time. Okay, so definitely avoid the curb. But you know, if we were another meter to the left, this corner would be a lot easier. Okay, but how much do you compromise the corner before? Okay, it's risk and reward. Okay, so here I'm on it, and even just touching the curb, because it's just so on the limit of grip here, okay, that I've grazed it. You know what I mean? That is a graze. The front wheel's just on it, and that was enough to just get the car loose. Okay, so a bit of a correction. Okay, and then flat all the way around here. I was experimenting with a few lines here, so you could again like go very wide and just put 2 wheels on the blue and white curb and then cut in. Okay, but because this is quite a long radius corner, you know, that's just doing too much distance, I think. So I've kind of gone for like an in-between type of solution here. So I'm looking at the white line as my braking, but then braking after it. Okay, so about here. So as we kind of cross over it. Okay, so it's, yeah, so basically as we pass the white line, then I'm braking. Okay, braking fairly hard back down into second gear. Okay, and this is one where it's really important to get the rotation done nice and early so you can get on the power quite early, okay, because it is a fairly decent straight here. And you will pick up a bit of understeer if you get on too hard, okay. And also the rear can come around, okay, as well. So you're kind of getting a bit of a mix of both. Again, it's just the feeling through your hands. You just have to decide what is best. But on the power nice and early, okay, and it's just the run to the line. That is a 142 dead, okay. Racing here should be pretty good. Last time I was here, we actually had some very good racing. A lot of side-by-side stuff. A few areas where people might dive you, okay. It's a track where you can be patient, okay, and even in a 15-minute sprint race, you can be patient and wait for other people's tyres to go a little bit. Very important to stay smooth. Again, I've been watching some of the top split pros who are going to do the GT3 challenge, and they are so smooth. You know, throughout the race, it was amazing. You know, I was watching one guy, Daniel Summer, who was doing it, and it was just such a bizarre lap. So if anyone knows Aragon, that we kind of was last week, he did 156.8, which is just insane. Okay, so I had to see that lap. So I watched that lap, and it was like he was doing an out lap, but like in a GTE car or something. It was just the speed he was carrying was really good, but it just felt like the engine was bogging all the time, and it just felt like he was on a bit of a cruise, and he never really like got out of shape in any sort of corner. And I think that's just the key. You've got to keep your tyres in check. You'll be really nice and smooth. The problem is, obviously, that doesn't mean you can be slow. Okay, so, you know what I mean? If you're just like, oh, I'm going to be really smooth and just brake really early and accelerate really late out of the corner, then it will look very smooth, but it will also be very slow. Okay, so it's just that balance, okay? And I think, you know, you can be slow and smooth, or you can be slow and reckless, or you can be kind of quite fast and a bit reckless. But if you want to be really fast, you have to be smooth as well. And you have to look after those tyres throughout the course of the race. So that's my advice to you this week. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And I will see you next week.